Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to another exciting episode of the Jade Mechanic Podcast. I I'm sitting here with somebody that I barely know. I've just been recently introduced to, so this is kind of going to be a different thing. This is going to be I'm going to get to know a stranger, a new friend, all at the same time, as we all are. I'm sitting here with Mr. Juwan Fields, who Juwan, say hi to everybody, buddy.
What's up, everybody?
Lucas introduced me to Juwan a couple weeks ago, and said that Juwan's a younger technician and he's looking to kind of make a move in the industry. And he kind of helped me reach out and do some networking. So that's kind of what we're here to do tonight. Juwan, kind of tell us everybody about yourself.
Oh, where do you start? Are you talking about childhood? You talking about like what do you want to know?
Well, right now you're a forklift mechanic, yes?
Yeah, sad to say, I'm a forklift mechanic. Yeah, a field service technician, forklift mechanic, whatever, equipment, whatever.
Now, why do you say that's sad to say?
Well, because I don't like it. Just it's not as mentally stimulating as I like it for it to be. It's really just like more nuts and bolts and stuff, and
right,
a lot more nuts and bolts and nasty fluid and
yeah. Because you and I were kind of talking. Like my background, I started out as a heavy equipment technician, right? So I didn't really do a whole lot on forklifts. I mean, I fixed one or two, but I had a degree in heavy equipment technician and diesel tech and all that kind of stuff. And you kind of asked me, like, why would you go to working on cars? It's not going backwards.
Yeah.
But I mean, honestly, like I said to you, there's just more opportunity in my area for automotive technicians than there is for equipment technicians, I guess is what we'll say, right? And equipment being more forklifts, agricultural equipment, construction equipment, that kind of stuff. Man lifts, like I worked on quite a few Melrose Bobcat skid steers, a lot of JLG man lifts, that kind of stuff. So I've kind of touched all of that. None of it I liked. I thought it was boring as hell too.
It is. It's very boring. It's the exact word that I use now is soul sucking. What I use.
So what about though if you got into kind of, because I can understand where you're saying like the technology maybe is a little behind where the automotive stuff is, right? And you want to get into the tech side of things. But what about like if it's a straight EV forklift? Does that not get your kind of blood pumping a little bit, Juwan, or no?
We do some electric stuff. It's just, I would say the manufacturer that I'm working on right now, they don't have a lot of electrics. They're starting to get more. So, but I mean, they only have so many things, man. They only got a few motors. You got, motor controllers. Like they're what's called, like they're called vehicle managers, but it's just a little microprocessor that
right
for the inputs and outputs. But yeah, it's all in case it doesn't have like 40 modules like a car does. So it's just less stuff to happen. They only have can low and can high. That's it. It's just one data bus and it's low and high. That's it.
Right. It. And so do you find yourself like, are you already at the point, I would say, where you're doing a lot of diag on the equipment, or is it they just don't break and you don't get a good opportunity to do it?
Just not much technical diag. I mean, most diag would be like, my truck's leaking fluid, or it would be more electronic, electrical. It's just, it's like, it's not as, you may get some, we got, forklifts also have propane. You may have, every now and again, you might have no start here or there. It's running bad, but most guys throw the kitchen sink as far as, it's like only 3 things as far as on the fuel system that they have. So it doesn't have the horizon, like it's not wider.
I can understand,
cars, but I don't want to ramble all over, but
no,
I do previously have, like, if I want to go back about myself, I started in automotive.
Okay.
So I'm 31 now.
Oh, you're young. You're young.
Yeah, right. I got sock drawer older than you, son. Go ahead. But yeah, so I actually got an interest in working on cars when I was 16. there's this white man that I met. I used to go to church, and he did this automotive class. He wanted to teach the young kids around, and he had this class on a Saturday. So when I got there, I was like, oh, he had like this just a brake, a spindle and a brake caliper on there, but I was the only one to touch it. So I was like, okay. It was like, oh, this is kind of interesting. So what I did, I put him up to the side because nobody was interested. He didn't want to do the class anymore. But I said, hey man, you mind if I go with you on the weekends? He was already a church member, so he would. So what he did, so it turned in for like 2 years. He would come and pick me up from my house on Saturday mornings. We get up early, and he'll take me to his house, and we'll wrench. So we will
Work on cars.
We'll just fix cars, customer cars. We'll flip cars. And then after that, so once I was like, okay, I like this, I got real curious. Like he had some old books and stuff. I took them home. I got really into it. And so I ended up going to so I was going into like my 10th or 10th grade year of high school. And I decided to go to vocational route. Because initially I was going to work on cars just to earn money, save myself money, whatever. But I ended up liking it. Plus, I already hated school anyway. Right. Like most of us do, they like to do stuff like that. So I took automotive like my first 2 years, and then my last year I actually took diesel vocational class, and I actually went to, I don't know if you've ever heard of I think it may be a North American thing, but it's called Skills USA.
Yep.
Yeah, so I went there. The competition was in Chattanooga at the time, and I went there and competed against actual post-secondary schools, and I placed third place in the state of Tennessee in diesel, which I didn't expect, but so I was pretty impressed with this. So of course, those things I decided to try to move on.
Yeah.
To move on, build on that. So I ended up, and when I graduated high school, I went to Tennessee Technologist, and I went to a little technologist school for about a few months, but the school part again got boring.
Yeah.
But when I was in school, I got a job working changing oil at a Kia dealer. So I did that. I was like, well, shit, I got a job. I'm sorry. I got a job changing oil. So I said, well, I know I can work my way up anyway. So I kicked the school and started working full time as an oil changer. And I got bored with changing oil quickly.
I think you would.
Very quickly. So I went straight to flat rate, and then I was like, man, is this stuff really like this? I didn't really have the support I needed, but so I did that for about 2 years, just trying to see how the industry is, and it got toxic real quick. And I was like, man, it can't be like this. Everybody around me telling me mechanics make this, and that, But anyway, so I went to work in GSE for a little bit, ground equipment at our local airport. I'm from Memphis, and I tried that, and it's just fleet work. I was like, bro, this shit boring. So after that, I went back to automotive for a while. And so in between all that, between there and now, I did a lot. I moved around a lot trying to find the grass is greener, but I wasn't understanding how the industry worked and how the different types of shops are structured.
Yeah.
So I had to learn all this on my own. And I did finally find out what I liked. It was around about 2018 when I started working for Pep Boys. I didn't like the chain store, but I liked the different vehicles. It gave me that variance that I needed. So I ended up getting they incentivize getting ASEs. So I went and got man, I was 2 away from master. I got them in 2 months because I was motivated to get them. And I got them, and I got like a $2 raise and a small percentage raise. I was supposed to get a larger. They had this weird little pay system that they had, but I didn't get it, so that was so discouraging. But I started doing a lot of troubleshooting. I liked it. I mean, I wasn't necessarily as good, but I was the only person that wanted to tackle it.
Right.
But after not getting that stuff, man, I got discouraged and I went to work on school buses because it was something that was, paying better and they did let me come in. They paid me more with my ASCs at the time, and it was like 2018, and they was paying me. They brought me in making like $27 an hour. For a young kid my age, that's pretty good, right?
Yeah, well,
But
it's not
they
terrible
brought
money in
me in
2018. Not at all.
they just let me
Not at
do
all. Oh, it
AC,
froze. Holy
HVAC,
One
and
sec
electric
here.
work.
Here we
That's
go.
all they
Froze
wanted
up.
me to do, which was nice, but it dried up quickly because it was really only seasonal. And with being a fleet, we're keeping school buses going, and they're only doing patchwork or it's slow to get stuff.
TechMetric is the all-in-one software solution for auto shops. It can do just about anything.
How can I build trust with customers?
How much?
TechMetric can do that.
How can I do an inspection faster?
TechMetric can do that.
How can I make this as painless as possible?
TechMetric can do that.
How can I run my shop from anywhere?
TechMetric can do that.
Can I just pay for my repair from my phone?
TechMetric can do that.
How can I be a better man?
You could try putting your crap away, Dennis.
Sometimes you just need to put your crap away. But for shop productivity, increased revenue, and a better customer experience, TechMetric can do that.
Okay, so when you were at Kia, what did they have you do then? Because you kind of said you got exposed to the kind of the toxic side of this industry. But did you feel like they weren't holding you back, or did you get to do anything kind of cool, like, or were you stuck doing a bunch of those 2-liter engines, or?
I think I started like most. You start doing recalls first, and shoot, at that time there was some different recalls before all the engines came about. But I started doing recalls and slowly getting whatever tickets. They kind of just let me just do whatever. Like if I feel like I want to do it, then it's fine. Which that was a great
Right.
part. The learning was fine, but you in automotive you got to pay for that learning. There was nobody.
Oh, yeah.
There was nobody like there wasn't any structure of learning or mentoring or anything like this. So that was like, yeah, that was terrible because I was only making like $11 an hour flat rate. I went from $9 an hour changing oil to $11 an hour flat rate.
That's kind of brutal, eh?
Yeah, so it's like literally just threw in the fire. Like I know that was lava. That wasn't fire. That was.
So you go to the bus garage, you get your ASCs, you go to the bus garage, big bump in pay, right?
Yeah.
But I mean, that's kind of, I would think that'd be a little bit boring too, because that's all the same stuff,
Fleet is just another fleet. And like I said, those patterns I wouldn't realize until I got older. But yeah, it was pretty boring because I mean, most of the time, all the buses will go out because they're going to get the kids and everything. So if it was something down, then you could go and fix it. But the biggest problem was like if I was to go do something like a compressor job or something like that, they didn't stock parts.
Yeah.
So it's like it was a lot of standing around, and and then depending on what kind of manager you have, you got to look like you're busy, and I can't stand doing that. Like you actually give me work to do it, or just let me go home.
Yeah. I'm the same. I'm not gonna I'll keep my work area clean, but I'm not gonna start painting walls and scrubbing toilets and stuff to make it look like I'm earning my paycheck, right? Like I'm a mechanic, I'm not a janitor. So, if you're not gonna give me cars to fix, I'm just probably gonna go fishing instead, because
right, yeah. Just let me go home, man,
So why? So you kind of. See, your story is not so dissimilar from mine, because I'm in the same thing. Like I started out, on the equipment side of things, and then I went into the truck thing, and I bounced back and forth, and I worked on a bus fleet. Like it wasn't a school buses, but it was tour buses. We did big Prevost motor coaches. I didn't work on so much of them. I worked on a lot of the smaller stuff, Ford Transits and E450s and 550s and stuff like that, Econolines. But I mean, very similar. And you're right, it was pattern failure, and we just kept the buses safe to be rented out. Like we didn't have to go into big repairs too often, like brakes, front end, that kind of thing, batteries, starter, air conditioning, nothing too heavy. But you kind of got bored, and you keep wanting to challenge yourself, which I think is pretty cool, right? Because you're saying like you love this technology that's out there, and you want the challenge of fixing it, but yet, Juwan, you've seen how the harder work can sometimes pay less.
You want me to speak on it? Because I got
you speak on whatever you want, man. This is your platform.
That is the single-handed most difficult part about why I'm back and forth with it, because I don't need a lot to live on, but I want to make enough. I have a woman I'm trying to marry and a 3-year-old daughter, man. I want to be able to provide, but I still need to be able to at least be able to satisfy that curiosity enough. Because, man, I feel like I'm wired a lot differently than most people, because a lot of people are motivated by money, and I'm just not, man. Like, I've made, even at a younger age, I've made more money before, doing other jobs, but it just wasn't enough for me. I just couldn't stay interested enough to do it, man.
Yeah.
Like, it would literally I would feel like my freaking flesh was crawling, just.
You think you're addicted to the challenge?
Yeah. It's a real huge dopamine hit.
Yeah. I get that.
Really huge. Like, when I get home, man, I got to do other stuff. I don't go home and watch TV. I'm in my garage playing with my 3D printer, messing with electronics, books on electronics, just constant knowledge, man. I like to grow. I like to every day I want to learn something.
That's the kind of attitude you need to be able to successful as a diagnostic, drivability tech in this industry. You have to have that insatiable appetite. Like my friend Brian Pollock, I don't know if Lucas has spoke to you about him. He's that way. He goes home at night and he reads like the engineering level, papers on a General Motors, fuel injection system. He reads the all that, the ISOs, the ASEs, like he reads all of that stuff. He's writing some of the test questions now for the ASE tests. Like he's that level, you know what I mean? Like the guy's brilliant. He's like a walking encyclopedia. He knows everything. And if he doesn't know it, he's almost like he won't tell you he knows it. If he says he knows it, he 1000% knows it. If he doesn't know it, he still probably knows it, but he doesn't. He's like 2% that he's not 100% sure on, and then he won't say he knows it. He'll still be able to tell you how to fix the car. He's incredible. He's that way. He's a vacuum for information. He's incredible. And that's what you need to be from what you tell me where you want to go. You want to go into doing, specializing in drivability, electrical, and going into this industry. So you kind of want to move away from the forklifts and go back into a car shop.
Yeah, it's just interviewing the right ones that'll support, the goals, man. Because I honestly would rather keep the stability and the insurance and all the good stuff than to go and even chance another shop. Hell, I would rather try to go mobile part time on my own until then. It's just the shop. Like I would rather not run my own business because of all the other hurdles. But when you get pushed against the wall like that, it's like, man, what do you do?
Yeah.
What do you do when you're hungry for something? But
so do you do side work on weekends?
No. I'm working on, like I said, trying to get this stuff together. I have most of the accessories to go with scopes. I got a couple budget scopes and everything. I got most of my test equipment. It's just figure out how to get people. I don't know people here. Like I've only been here in this area for about 6 months, I would say.
Okay.
Over 6 months. I don't know anybody here. But I still had to put myself out there. But I was really just going home I was exploring some other stuff before I decided, okay, well maybe I should, I've been going between a bunch of other different stuff because I was already into some of the other smaller hobbies. I thought, I want to do this other stuff, but it's like my heart keep telling me, hey man, this is what you need to do regardless.
Yeah.
So
that's key. You got to listen to your heart. You're set up with a scan tool, some scopes.
Yeah. I just bought cardiac 3 interface, so I can start programming. I'm just gonna start slow as I can. I don't make a lot of money, but I'm managing my money pretty decently though.
So if you remember Keith Perkins, he was on a recent episode. He's been actually on a lot of recent episodes, and he kind of talked about what he did. Is he kind of started out where he went around to other shops and said, if you've got a car that's problematic for Diag, that's kicking your butt or whatever, he was offering his services to be able to say, like, I can diagnose the car, I can do programming and stuff like that. That's how he got his name made. And then he's the go-to person in Oklahoma for, and arguably most of the country for tough diags and programming, right? Like he's a machine as well. Him and Brian are two of the same unicorns. That's kind of somebody that you could reach out to and kind of model the way you approach it. But that's my suggestion to you is if you're not getting a lot of that stimulus at the job, but the job is secure, you got to use the rest of your hours of your week. And don't go too big too fast, but make yourself and say, like, hey, I'm trying to learn this kind of stuff. I'm good at this. This is what I want to do. Can I program a car or something? Maybe it starts with a Facebook Marketplace ad that you say, not that you want to be just another quote unquote mobile mechanic, right? Because people will be wanting you to go over there and put brakes on a car, right? And that's yeah, yeah. You don't want to be doing that. I can tell.
No, but it's repulsive at this point in my life.
but you want to be thinking about, like, how do I market myself that skill set? And I think that's going to be with other shops that don't necessarily maybe Juwan want to invest in that kind of thing can use you to do it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
yeah, like I'm slowly building up. Like I'm doing a lot of research on. I'm trying to prep myself to. Of course, I need to get out there and actually go and talk to people.
Yeah.
Just making sure I got everything I need as far as resources to go back to, if need be, because I'm in Keith's, I have his subscription.
Mm-hmm.
I've been, the pinnacle teachers, the pinnacles of automotive training, like Paul Danner's, I have his ebook.
Yeah.
And I've been, let's see, I bought a couple of Brandon Steckler's books, his diagnostic book. So, I have all this stuff. I have all the tools I have all the tools, the mental tools, the books, and the physical tools. So it's just a matter of now just, of course, practicing with it. I go out there on my own vehicle and do a little testing.
So yeah, so you kind of name some pretty important people there: Brandon Steckler and Keith Perkins and Paul Danner, and they're all guys that can all guide you with if you network and reach out to them and start talking to them about how you make that next step in your career. Because I think you definitely should, if that's where your passion is in challenging yourself to do diag and drivability, then that's for sure what you need to be, pushing towards, because you got to be happy with what you do. If you're not stimulated at your job and you're just bored with it, you're never going to be happy no matter what they pay you.
Well, not everybody is receptive.
Well, why do you think that is?
Well, I've reached out to a few, and just with simple questions. I don't know, man. I like to ask a lot of questions, but I may come off as weird to some people, I would say, because I have so many questions, because I want to, especially when I want to get, if I see someone that's already where I held remotely, that's already where I want to be, I just want a piece of the pie.
Yeah.
But not everybody is, open to talking that much, maybe because I don't have a network of, automotive at first.
It does take time, I'll say that. And some of them, like some of the circles, it's hard to get them to open up to you. I'll say that. I'm kind of like, there's people within the industry that don't feel me. They don't like me. They don't like what I'm about. And then there's other people that completely get it and they know what I'm about. And it's like, I can say this, that sometimes it takes just a certain amount of time of networking. You have to be able to prove that you're not just like a, how do I say it?
Man, boy.
No, a DIY kind of rank, lazy, beginner.
Oh, okay.
Like you got to, they want to see effort. They want to see like that you, because it's not a case that people don't want to help. It's just sometimes it gets to be pretty elite, and what may seem like a perfectly normal question for you to ask, for all of them, they might be like, "Oh, how do you not know that?" You know what I mean? And then and I've been guilty of that too, way back in when I've been networking with people. Sometimes is that I forget, and sometimes what gets lost is sometimes the way we ask. It seems like we're being lazy, but it's just the way we talk, right? And I can tell you that nobody wants to share a whole lot of their secrets or the hard-earned stuff that they've had to learn with people that don't want to do the work themselves,
Yeah,
like,
I mean, when you ask questions, technical questions or like just career questions, like trying to get back, it's usually, when I ask, it's not technical questions because
okay,
material's there.
right.
It's just, the trying to get like the recommendations of dealer, or hell, I've even considered moving again.
Yeah.
Maybe down the line if, but I would rather find the right shop. But.
Yeah. And I mean, as we talked about how you talked to Eric, I mean, that guy had to make a very long move. He had to leave New York and go to North Carolina to Lucas's to find his fit. You know what I mean? So there's lots of technicians I know that have moved several states to get the right kind of job, where they fit. So, I mean, and that's, it sucks. You have to do that. You know what I mean? I'll say this, my local area pretty much is a wasteland of good opportunities. There's jobs, but they're just not great. Like we were talking, I work at a used car lot because it's the best job right now in my area.
Yeah, I didn't. You told me that, I was actually surprised, man. I thought you was at like a specialty shop or something.
No. I mean, in my area, there's no such thing as a specialty shop other than like, there might be a specialty shop that says, oh, we're a European specialty shop. But I've seen some of the work that they do and they ain't special. You know what I mean? Like they're nothing.
Shoddy work. Shoddy.
Well, you got to think like Juwan, sometimes the quote unquote, not the dealer specialty shop, all they really are is just a cheaper alternative for a customer that's okay with less quality. You know what I mean? That's not running down anybody.
Yeah.
So that's kind of when I see the specialty thing, it's always like with asterisks, is like air quotes, like, okay, you're a specialty shop. What's your door rate? Like if you want to be a true specialty shop, say on Euros, your door rate should be at least whatever the local dealer is charging, at least, if not more, right? Because of you should have to buy more tooling, all that kind of stuff, take more training. When they're doing it for $30 less an hour and they call themselves a Euro specialty shop, I just roll my eyes because like I've seen, you're not putting on the dealer parts then. You're probably not using the dealer software and the dealer scan tool. So what are you? You're somebody that's fumbling through, but you're not. You're fumbling through at a huge expense to yourself on how long it takes you to get to the root of the problem. Understand the whole idea of pattern failure in the dealer. You worked in it, right? Like you walk out to, after you've done so many Kias or whatever, you know what the car is as soon as you scan the code, right? You know where you're going to go next. Where these guys that are in these specialty shops, right? You're working on something that's 3, 4, 5, 6, 10 years old. All that, the dealer is already on to something completely new, different. You're hoping that you're starting to run into those pattern failures. But really what you're into nightmares because the pattern failure didn't fix it. And now you're into starting over at ground zero. And yet your customer doesn't have any budget or doesn't have the money or the finances to actually fix this type of car. That's what I see the trap for specialty shop. I don't want any part of that. I just, give me a shop where I work on everything. That's fine. but make sure you're paying me well enough to work on that, and we have to have the tooling to do it.
Yes.
So if you go out on your own, when you do, because I think you should and you will, is there something that you want to stay away from? Certain car lines, certain brands, certain types of jobs, or
Well, I'm actually learning to open up to more any brand, but specifically for me, this type of work, I would rather. There are some people in some groups that talk about when you talk about the diagnostics program and keys. Only reason I would rather do the programming is if it's part of the diagnostic process. You have to replace a BCM or something, but I'd rather not do any key work. I'd rather just do diagnostics, the electrical repairs, and programming. If I have to, and of course a little bit of drivability. But sometimes drivability can get sticky. It can depend on but of course I just want to build a reputation that this guy can figure out what the issue is.
right.
I don't want to do any big liability, no timing belts, no timing chains, and
100%.
I've had my time doing it, man. I'm tired of it. I don't. Yeah, 31 is still still young, but when you do it so long, it's just. I used to love doing it, heavy line work. I used to love it. Used to, but I was like 22.
Right.
My back is not the same.
I'm 50, right? And my elbows don't work good. My wrists don't work good. My hands don't work. I don't have any strength hardly in my hands like I should. Just from years of doing this, right? It doesn't matter. So I totally understand where you're coming from. I'll tell you this, what I know from some of the guys I talk to that are mobile guys is that easily 50% of their work is programming.
Mm-hmm.
And then probably another 25% is probably keys. And the last 25% might be actual diag.
Yeah, I know. And that almost bothers me too. That's why I'm like, why can't I just have a shop that just builds for diagnostics and I can be efficient enough at.
Well, because Juwan, it rarely is the juice left in this for the squeeze by the time they get to it. You know what I mean? Like the budget's already completely shot, right? It's had the parts cannon thrown down it. It's had 4 modules put in it. You might be the second guy to go there. There might be 3 shops, all that kind of stuff. Yeah. There's just no money left. You know what I mean? It's not a situation of they can't fix it, but whoever you're fixing it for may not have the budget. You know, like Brendan Steckler, some of his case studies are great, but you got to remember, like, those are years that he's amassed those. And those are always, for the most part, like customers that have no choice, but that has to be fixed. You know what I mean? And that's like when I talk with my friend Jake Barnes and Jeff Barnes, they talk about like their car lots because they're into it so deep, they have no choice but to fix it. And then it becomes these nightmare cars. They get to the bottom of it, sure. But they're if it wasn't for the programming, the keys money, they wouldn't be able to survive on those cars because it just like they have 8 hours into it. You know, they bill 6, like that's good. But even like Check Engine Chuck, when we were talking in Lancaster like 2 weeks ago, he can go out there and do a programming job for $250,
30 minutes,
and he's there and gone in less than an hour. Yeah. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
I'm sorry. I was just gonna say it's kind of one of those things where like the way we say it down south is it's the bread and butter. You know, the programming is part of it, but the keys is where you just have to take the chance. You know, you just have to take the opportunity to get the gravy.
Yeah,
and then that helps you keep that way you keep money where you can take some diags here and there. And, so that's the thing I have been trying to learn growing up. You know, with having the type of patience to accept certain realities. I mean, because this is real life here. It's not any fairy tale, and there's always a downside to everything. That's physics, right? So there's no complete be all,
Yeah, I think what you're seeing is like you would love it if you just had one challenge after another, one problem car after another.
It ain't happening.
and financially it took care of itself, right? But what I'm giving you a cautionary tale here that in the real world, I don't mean that with any kind of disrespect at all. Please don't take it like that.
I'm like, good. I mean, I'm not a millennial, but man, damn.
In the greater scheme of things, you can't have a steady diet of that because financially, fiscally, it just doesn't work. You know what I mean? Like, are you familiar with John Thornton? Do you see him on, or not John Thornton, Bernie Thompson on YouTube? Do you ever see him with?
I binged watched Bernie Thompson stuff. That man is analytical as fuck. Like,
oh, he's not. Yeah, he's like way up here, right?
Yeah,
but I would love to know how many times he goes, like, because we see the jobs that he posts, the case studies and whatnot, and then it's like they all look like slam dunks to him, right? And then the way in us, but there's got to be some that are just so routine and easy for him it's not even worth turning the camera on. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, and that's, I think, so he's the one guy that I can think of off the top of my head that I know is probably going out there like to those shops that like they have no choice but to fix it now. They've already messed it up and it has to be made right. But I still think he gets a lot of them that are so easy that it's not even worth turning a camera on. And that's again, is his bread and butter. And I think that's when I talk to a lot of the guys that I've talked to, that's what programming is for them, right? Is you just go up, and Brian Pollock was just talking about, he's got one, they did a used module. So he was able to clone it, do the used modules for a Jeep Patriot or something like that. Customer calls him up and said the engine codes that we were there before, why we changed the module, are still happening. You didn't do it right. And Brian's like, whoa. It's you guys misdiagnosed the car. You're essentially putting an ECM in for an intake runner manifold, variable runner length problem. That's going to be the problem because it's got an aftermarket motor on it or something, right? Like an aftermarket intake. It's probably misdiagnosed. But what I'm saying is, like, if you just immediately said, no, I don't want to do that job, like that programming, you wouldn't make any money. And then you would go over there and it ended up being like more like an argument with the customer, you know what I mean? Because they went with the $200, cheaper option instead of just buying the OE intake that came and put on the car. Now they're going to be thousands of dollars into parts that are misdiagnosed and having it towed over and fixed. So what I'm saying is if Brian just went to them and said, nah, I'm not doing that job because I don't want to program, he wouldn't get the diag. You know what I mean?
Yeah, right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Someone told me that. Yeah.
Yeah. So, and again, I'm not a mobile tech. I'm not a diag tech. I mean, I'm a diag tech, but I'm not a mobile, like I diagnose and fix cars. Like that's what I do, and then some days I just do very routine, basic stuff. Like if you looked at what I do most days, you'd be like, how do you do that? I'll tell you how I do it. I do it because it pays better than the last shop that I was at, where I might get a Euro car with a drivability problem, or and for less money and less respect and less, like, the end of the day where I'm at right now, they treat me better and appreciate me more than somebody that I worked for in a long, long time. And that's like, so again, going back to, it's not about money. That's part of the appeal of why I stay where I am, because they appreciate me.
Yeah.
So going forward for you, I think you're going to have to find that balance, of that you feel stimulated, you feel challenged, but at the same time, like you can cope, because I know some of the guys that have went way hard into the paint on the one nightmare car after another. Bro, it'll burn you out, man. Not saying you can't do it. I'm not saying, Juwan, please, buddy, don't think I'm saying that. You're not.
You just sound like some of the other guys. It's just being realistic about it.
Yeah.
Like a lot of them don't even necessarily make a lot of profit off of the diag cars because of the time being spent, and you can only charge so much.
That's right.
It already starts at the shop. The customers, not want to pay for testing, and some shop owners that already don't even want to pay their technicians a good wage.
That's
so
right.
They want to pay you to come and So I mean, I get it. It's just like like you said, growing up and coming into terms, and just take it when you can get it, and just and take the biscuit and sob up the gravy as much as you can. So so you can allow yourself to, unless I just say screw it and just start buying cars on marketplace instead of and just keep
fixing them up and flipping them. But I mean, that's going to go back to your heavy line stuff, which you really don't want to do, right? Like you want to stimulate yourself. I understand it. I want you to think about like finding the balance, and then like when I say that you feel like sometimes people are a little closed off to you or don't want to give you the guidance and help, just give it time. That's what I got to say about that. Just give it time, because they'll figure out eventually that you're legit and you want to work hard and you want to do well, and you're not like you can offer things in return. So that's what a big of it is like the smaller the group becomes, the less that you can kind of put your hand up and give them answers. You know what I mean? It's never like we're giving each other answers anymore, right? We're just spitballing ideas off of each other all the time. Like I got one, like I was talking with Brian and Zeb and Tommy in a group the other day, and we're talking about, I've got this Duramax diesel that like they put gas in the tank, like unleaded gas. So it's a 2025 Duramax with a 3-liter, like the baby Duramax. And we're talking just like, what's the first step in fixing this? What's the worst case scenario that it could be? Well, it could get bad. We lucked out, and all we had to do was drain the tank and fill it with diesel.
Oh, yeah.
And put a treatment in the tank. And the truck runs good now. It runs awesome. It runs like a brand new truck. But we dodged a major bullet with that, right?
Yeah.
But I mean, so it's a situation of like, they're not giving me answers so much as they're just talking. We're keeping everything in perspective of like, it could go really bad or it could go really good. And it went good, and that's sometimes with the networking, all you're really going to get anymore, Juwan, is as your skills come up, people are not going to give you answers. They're just going to give you kind of guidance. Do you know what I mean? And you don't need answers. You're a smart guy. You can figure this stuff out. You just kind of always want that. What I find we're leaning ourselves on is it's like they just need a little bit of, I got to step back for a minute and have a different set of perspective look at this. What do you guys think of this? If you had one that was doing this, what would you do? Those kind of conversations happen a lot. I don't ever have to go to them and go, I got a code, like tell me how to fix it. We don't have to do that too much anymore. Brand new cars. Yes. But, stuff 5 or 6 years old, nah. They've all seen it, done it, they know it. Like, I'm very lucky that way. So, yeah. And you got to think, like, all the guys I know that still say, like, they do the mobile thing and they do the diagnostic, especially, there's still certain car lines they don't touch. Or certain jobs they don't touch. Like, who was I talking to? And they said parasitic drains, they never bother. Don't even bother.
Unless you're in the shop. I don't know. Somebody said I won't do them unless they're in the shop.
Yeah.
Leave it overnight. Just,
yeah.
That's understandable because.
Well, think about like if you every time the car gets moved around, and you come back and you look at it again, like you essentially have to stage the car all over again, right? Get it in the lockout, get it into your measurements and all that kind of jazz. Like that's not something that lends itself to mobile very well, right? Unless it's in a bay and nobody touches it, but then even then you don't know, right? Like all these shops that say, "Oh yeah, we won't touch it, we'll leave it there."
Oh, BS. Because
you gotta wait an oil change, like they're gonna push that thing out.
Yeah, because that bay needs to turn hours, so you can whatever.
I know, and then when I talk with Brian a lot of the time, a lot of the guys don't even get into too much anymore Diag. From the drivability standpoint, they get into a lot still of the programming because I think it's like Chuck Engine Chuck will tell you too. A lot of the time when he gets a phone call and somebody's asking him, I've got this code and we've put this part on it still broke. The next question is, where did you buy the part from?
Right. That's next to the question.
Yeah. Right. So you can talk yourself out of a lot of jobs just by going and having that conversation. So where'd you get the part? Because then the guy's going to go, so I should try a dealer one? Yeah. And he, thanks, click, hang up. You made zero, right? You spent 10 minutes on the phone, $100 gone, whatever you want to think about it. So a lot of guys I know, they have to get very okay with the idea that they show up. My friend Matthew Scunders talked years ago. He went over to look at a Chrysler product that had a brand new crank sensor in it, and it still had a crank sensor fault and an intermittent stall and all this jazz. And he promptly shone his light in there. It's an aftermarket part. He asked him, it's an aftermarket part. He said, yep. He said, that's not going to work.
No.
See you later. And he collected his $150 and he drove on. A guy that was riding with him at the time's like, that's all you have? That's all you did? He's like, yeah, that's all I'm going to do. Like, I'm not going to hook it up and yank a signal off of it and compare it to a known good somewhere and try and show them. He just says, I've been there, done that. I know it won't work. And I tell them that's what it has to do. But he still collects his money. You understand what I'm saying? If you're the guy that's answering the phone and walking them through like a tech line, you're not going to make any money. You know, whereas if you go to them, test out what you can test out, tell them, collect your money and go. That's what they're using you for a lot of the time, is just that reaffirmation that says, yeah, Identifix says use, only an OE part, but we had a mobile guy come in and he said the same thing. So now we're going to put the OE part on. Or now the customer can't fix the car because the OE part's like 3 months back ordered, That's the other thing. You still got to collect your money.
I mean, I don't see the challenges, and that may be part of some of the realization once I actually get out there and see some of the challenges. Like, I know I still have to make money.
Yeah.
So I have a little girl. She's
no.
So So she daddy. So yeah,
cute as could be, man. She was funny to see last night. Yeah.
Yeah, little devil some most of the time, but I guess that's a 3-year-old. I guess.
That's a big motivator, though.
Yeah.
Her. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I grew up. I'm not gonna go far into that, but yeah, I grew up a single mother and 2 brothers. So
yeah, right. So, what do your brothers do? Do they have any kind of car interest at all?
No, no. My little brother is he does something for the IRS. It's nothing crazy, but
okay.
And my big brother just a general laborer.
Okay. Yeah.
So, now my family doesn't. No, they don't have all that ambition. I'm probably the most ambitious one out of all of them.
You know why that is? I can tell you.
Why is that?
Because you're the middle child.
Really?
100%. My mom is a middle child, and she outworked her older sister and a younger sister. Outworked them both. The middle child thing is a real thing, and I think that's why you're the way you are. Because I can't name names at the moment; they escape me. But I've met several people that are middle siblings, and they're driven the way you are, like that. So, that's my theory based on knowing you for a little bit. Why I think you're the way you are, which is a good thing, Juwan. It really is. What's not a good thing is this recording situation that we're having, or your Wi-Fi sucks, Juwan.
No, the Wi-Fi doesn't suck. We just got this. My PlayStation 5 works great. It's my freaking computer.
Okay, all right. So we'll have you back on soon, and we'll record another one.
Okay.
But in closing, what I want you to do for me is I want you to keep reaching out to the people like we talked about, right? The shout outs and stuff. Like, do you have shout outs you want to give?
Hell yeah, man. I want to shout out PJ Walter.
Yeah.
Man, Lucas Underwood.
Yeah.
That dude is, God. It's like he's is the word genuinity, whatever the word is, but
anyway,
shit is unmatched.
Yeah.
And
I've met a lot of people in this industry and a lot of people in my lifetime, and I've never met another person like Lucas.
Lucas is, I move for that man right there. But and let's see, actually Brandon Steckler helped me out a little bit. He actually put me in contact with someone that Eric Walker that does a lot of the training. He's actually his shop is like 30 minutes from mine, but
Okay.
I'm not gonna get into that. But his shop is a flat rate shop, and I was like, I don't want to do flat rate, brother. It's a mentality thing, and
I understand exactly. I'm right there with you, man. It's 100%. If I never did a diag or a drivability problem again, sure, why not? No problem there. I'll make money. But as soon as you're going to give me that level of work on flat rate, my head just goes in a different direction. I'm not productive.
Yeah.
So it's just I can't do it anymore. Used to
Yeah.
Used to do well.
And one more guy,
Yeah.
Isaac Rodell, is it?
Isaac Rodiesel, yeah, Rodell, but yeah, Isaac Rodell.
He's his shit, but he actually took some time out as well. So
yeah.
You got a few people that are kind of open, I would say.
So I'm going to ask the question. We got in September. We got coming up. We've got ASTA, the trade show, the expo, the big training event, right?
Yep.
Is there any chance you can make that?
What is the? I mean, I don't live there far. I live about an hour from Nashville, so I'm just right into Kentucky. I'm actually about a 6-hour drive from Lucas's shop, so it's probably about maybe less than 8 hours or so. I don't know, but I probably would just fly. But how much is it, man? Is it like? How do you? I mean, is it the class that you pay for, or is it the hotel?
I'll send you the link, and because I couldn't tell you the exact numbers of what it's going to cost. But we've got 3 months, and let's try to think about how to get you there. I'll talk to Lucas and I'll talk to some other people and we'll try to see how to get you there, like cost-wise and whatnot. I think that's going to be a pretty important, one of those kind of shows, one of those kind of events is going to be pretty important for you in your career. I think you're at that point where you need to be exposed to the people that go to those events and what they can guide you with and show you. And I think I know when Lucas took me in 22, it changed my life. And I know, like Check Engine Chuck, I coerced him into going last year into Aston. We sat down and had a great conversation. And like, he was just in Lancaster with me, 2 weeks ago. He went to Tools and it changed his, like, he's a completely different, it's not that he's a better tech now. It's just he had an awakening about how important these events are, the networking and all that kind of stuff. So I'm gonna work with Lucas and see how to get you there. So because I think we need to get you there so that you can kind of get a feel for what the next step for Juwan's going to be. So
you're gonna get mature, dog. Don't do that.
Don't do that. Frick, it's frozen again.
Yeah, man, I get emotional real quick, so don't.
Camera's frozen.
I'll be up on live camera.